Okay, looks like I am live. How we doing, guys? Probably not lifting again today. The weather keeps changing here, and I am very sensitive to atmospheric changes lately, so I feel like garbage. Um, you guys know how this goes. I will answer chat questions as they come in. Otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of babble. So the quality of the stream is more dependent on you guys than it is on me. Um, guess we can start off with that. Gay men have no shame, or at least there's some very confident gay men. I routinely get just random body pics from guys. As a straight man, confirmed straight man, no judgment to the gays. It's just, I always have men sending me, like, honestly, dick pics, but that's more like for PE, to, um, I literally have gotten buttholes sent to me just randomly on LPSG. I'm not exactly sure what the laws are on that, but I feel like if I feel like I get 1/10 of what women get online through gay men shooting their shot. But anyway, hello, Destroyer. Reddit is chatting with me saying that the guy was hot and don't judge him. Oh, I'm gonna judge him because that lacks basic decorum. But you know, hello, Donkey Teeth. But yeah, to me it's just funny because like I know I'm straight. I made sure I was straight. I talk about dick all the time. I appreciate the male form, but I want nothing to do with it sexually. I just, it's just funny to me that they're so brash and confident with it, and it's just something I will never understand fully. But anyway, guys, PE stuff, bodybuilding stuff, anything in general. It's been a bit of a slow day. I'm not going to give out names, but it happens quite often, Azula. I love the feeder sets thing, man. It really freaking helps. The only issue for me is like actually doing it consistently lately, but that's mainly because I'm working 10 to 12 hours a day right now to get ready for vacation, and I just don't really have the mental bandwidth for it right now. But I should have grabbed my notebook. I have at least I have one video filmed, just need to get the timestamps for it. Then I need to film the pumping guide, the extender guide, the hanger guide, and then that's 3 videos, right? Yeah, so we're at 4 videos already planned. And then I want to do going over my own length thoughts, like choose your own adventure for length, and then choose your own adventure for girth. And I have to get all that done before I go on vacation next Friday. So it's going to be a busy week or so, but today I mainly um I'm mainly I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just babbling. Uh Money never sleeps. You will never have to pay for an update to the ebooks. That doesn't mean I won't make new ebooks, but those will be like my current thought process on PE forever. Once I am confident what I'm doing right now will actually make sense. So like for example, vibrations will be going in potentially in a separate document that you'll get for free. Uh, Probably in the next month or so. I just have to sit down and write it. What did you want to talk about? There's not much I want to talk about right now. Like, I've tried to take a nap twice today, and my neighbor's dogs literally start barking as soon as the head hits the pillow. So I am grumpy. So there's no existing new PDF guide, correct? I think we're on version 1.2 on both right now, so there is no new books at the moment. Donkey Teeth is about to spend 80 more bucks at Peak My Physique. You don't have to spend it there, but thank you. No, what did you talk about the stream when the stream started? I mean, you could just go back and watch it, right? But basically, gay men sneak into my DMs very often. I've had a few women do it lately, but like gay men, no shame. I know, like they should know I'm straight. I bring up my wife all the fucking time, but I guess they can figure out that just because I talk about dick a lot does not mean I like dick in that way. But it's fine. Okay, so my hard flask is still more or less there, but you should continue doing pelvic floor exercises and potentially pelvic floor massages, and that's that. Can you guys see my chat? No, you can't. What the hell? Give me 1 second, guys. I'll fix it. Pop out chat. Sorry about that, guys. Again, a little tired. BD's chat, switch tabs. Is it this one? Yep, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So Jeff has done P for about a year and happy with the gains. What are your recommendations as far as routines for long-term maintenance and lock-in slow growth? So like when you stop PE, you can expect like 2 to 5% loss in total size because that tissue loses its flexibility and you probably lose that peak erection quality. So if you don't want to like just overshoot it and not worry about it, I would just do 3 sets, 5 minutes of pumping every other day, and then do some light manual stretches every day for like 5 minutes. Just like do it in the shower or something just to keep the tissues organized. Organized as in perfect shape alignment, because otherwise that collagen starts to meander and fold over itself. We want to avoid that. So that's why we're going to do pumping 4 days a week, 3 sets, 5 minutes, and then the manual stretches. But in general, the amount that you'll lose is going to be so small. I know Hank just did a video on it. Like you lose 20% of your total gains, and I don't like how he put it because it makes it seem a lot more extreme than it is. Because like let's say you gained an inch, losing 20% of your gains would mean that you still keep 0.8. So you know, it was more of a scare title than anything else. I respect the game. It's just sometimes I don't like when Hank puts somewhat clickbaity stuff. I don't like when anyone does clickbaity stuff. So it's not just him. I'll come back to that one, JD. Do you have any other women on here trying to find out PE for their SO? So I had a French size queen that tried to get me to basically do classes for free for a bunch of her little chatters essentially because she just wanted to get guys as big as possible. So like there's one guy that was like 8.5 inches and she tried to convince him to continue to do PE. He didn't because he started doing my routines and he caused tears with his current girlfriend. So, I get it, but all right. So, JD, if you had a chance to be 20 inches fully functional and maintain all your other health, would you take it? It's more so for my wife's pleasure than anything else. I wouldn't take it. My goal right now, like my realistic goal is like 10 by 7. And like that is like absolutely ridiculous in real world standards. So if I could choose that, sure. 20 inches, no. My leg is probably 19 inches long. It would literally be below my knee when erect. I have my other laptop open here, my actual work laptop, but can pre-workouts be bad for your heart? It depends on your tolerance for caffeine. Like I saw Renaissance Periodizations, Mike Israel, Dr. Mike, say that some people can tolerate up to 1,500 milligrams of caffeine a day, no issues, and then it really depends on your own tolerance. Like he can take maybe 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine before he loses his mind. Um, I take a shit ton of caffeine, like upwards of 600 milligrams some days. I'm trying to work it down, but like right now with my work schedule, it's not happening. I haven't had really any issues with it. I'm just so tolerant to it at this point, it doesn't affect me. Um, but like the real ones you need to worry about is DMAA or a DAMA. It's like it's literally like legalized meth in a certain sense, and like it gives you such a upper effect that it causes severe vasoconstriction right away, and that could be really bad for your heart long term. Nicholas, does it make sense for someone to do 2 months or who has been doing PE for about 2 months to copy the routines from today's Gainathon video? I would copy Koa's because he's been doing PE for about 2 months. If you're going to copy anyone's, he is a bit more advanced than I'd like him to be, but like if he's been seeing results with it already, I'm not going to change it too much. But that would be my recommendation if you're going to try to follow along with anyone. Okay. Hitman, I do have a question about heat therapy or just heat in general because I've been looking into that. Okay. Um, so the main study I've seen is that collagen begins to denature, which means fall apart at temperatures beyond 105 degrees Fahrenheit. That is literally the concept of us cooking meat, is that the higher and higher the temperature gets, collagen begins to snap, and that's what makes our meat tender and easy to eat. We're not doing that to our dick, obviously, but like in a biomechanics aspect, that heat causes collagen to fall apart, and that's what will potentially make gains easier. But like most of us will not be getting to the point where we're actually melting the collagen. So it relaxes the tissues more and makes the collagen more like putty. It is not going to like really increase gains like you would see with the hanging with fire method. Like that's been around for 6 years at this point. No one has shown any like photo evidence of gains with it. So I wouldn't do it just based off of that metric. You can add heat. I add heat, particularly in the winter, solely for comfort. But, you know, are you still a fan of My Hero Academia? um, I would say it was one of my favorite shows up until season 5. I have read the manga. I like the ending more than most people, I would say, but I feel like it needed like 2 more seasons to cook. But Horikoshi got really tired of doing a weekly chapter, and that was it. He rushed it just like they rushed Attack on Titan. So it could have been great. I hope they do spin-offs, but they didn't stick the landing. How far should the PP be able to bend backwards? Piccolo, bellow. Flaccid, you should be able to like fold it over yourself. Hard, you shouldn't really be able to bend it more than like, let's say 20 degrees. Semi-erect, I can probably get a 90-degree bend. But like I've worked up to it, and basically with semi-erect bends, it kind of teaches your dick to be more flexible so you can actually avoid sexual injuries. Red. So Red has me like direct message for teams, right? The ending was trash. I was disappointed with the other characters not getting upgrades to their tools and perks, tools and quirks. That's their powers. If you don't know, I stopped after he came back crying. So the ending makes sense. I'm not going to spoil much of it, but like the entire idea is that he has a borrowed power. So he was going to lose his power regardless. And he was still useful to this superhuman society without his quirk by teaching the next generation how to use the quirk. And a lot of people didn't like that because here in the United States, we don't value teachers like they do in Japan. Japan values teachers extremely highly. Here in the United States, they don't even make more than Amazon workers. So that's where a lot of this hang up comes from. Anyway, YSN, how often should you take a deload week? I'd probably take it every 6 to 8 weeks. It's going to be dependent on workload. Um, if you're doing a lot of work, like let's say every day, probably every 4 weeks. What we're really looking for is like if we're looking at this at a technical scale, Your stretch flaccid after your session slowly stagnates. So let's say you're at 6.5 1 week, and then you get to like 6.6, 6.7 week 3, and then week 4 you're at 6.75, week 5 you're at 6.78, and then by week 7 you're still at 6.78. That means the tissue's so fatigued that it can't really stretch more at its current state and it needs time to recover. So that's like the general idea of deload weeks. It's supposed to give the tissue time to fully recover so you can start beating it up again. Dan. I'll check it out. Okay, hey BD, I'm going to get a vacuum bell. My size erect girth is 5.65. What bell should I get second? I've been using KT tape as my tape. It's easy to pull off and allows for expansion. Have you tried this? KT tape on my dick sounds scary, but you know, I don't even know if I have a roll. Secondly, you're going to need to look at your gland size rather than your erect girth. If you're over 5.25, you're going to need a large. If you're over 6.5 around the glands, you're going to need to go to a different store. Hitman talking about heat. That's why my heart flaccid leaves me at it is hot. I might get a pad when the pump comes. What? I'll let you rethink what you said. EH, about to get my vasectomy. NEP doable? Should I just take a week off? Curious because it's quite the time for a deload or break. Just curious on your thoughts. I would personally wait 2 months before we apply any pressure down there. It's relatively benign surgery, but like you're gonna have these superficial wounds in your testicles, and any pressure to them, particularly like from pumping, could cause issues. You might be able to get away with light manuals, but like I would just take the time off, recover, make PE super easy when you come back. So JD, what is your take on anti-lock so far? Like, I don't know much of it other than it made rat dicks super big, and I think a lot of people came to the wrong conclusions with that study. First of all, they measured it within the pump, so like it's not necessarily translating to erect size. Secondly, you can't get it out of a lab setting. Okay, it is an antibody, super fucking fragile, lasts for like 30 minutes at most in the bloodstream. So you need to like deep freeze it and then keep it basically completely stationary. Any little vibrations to it could just rupture it. So like there is no way to use it in our applications. Could we technically increase how much our body produces of it? Sure, but we're not going to be able to get the superhuman amounts that they've been using in these rat studies. Thirdly, anti-locks is not tissue dependent. So like it will fuck up all the structural collagen in your body to the point where it can't heal. So like if you're a weightlifter, runner, anything like that, if you're weightlifting, running while using it, your joints are going to slowly deteriorate and you could severely injure yourself if you're not careful. So like anti-locks is kind of stupid for this application. It just shows like two different types of PE. One, you can spur growth naturally, the way I do it, or you can literally tear your dick down to the point where it can't heal, force it into this new shape, and then hold it in this new shape so the fibrosis will heal in a somewhat natural form. I would not recommend it. It's interesting, but like it kind of just shows that you can brute force it, but like you literally need some chemical interactions to brute force it. Neo, can I prevent scar tissues, vein leakage, or damage from the penis pump? So like, I know Hank just did a venous leak video, and I'm a little mad about that one too. But let's put it this way: venous leak is pretty much an injury like a varicose vein, and it has issues with channeling blood. So anytime that blood back channels, that's when we're going to have a higher risk of venous leak than anything else. Like you can do it with a penis pump, but it is going to be exceptionally rare compared to like jelking or they call them horse 440s or Yulees, anything that causes pressure to go back up the vein and cause a little flaps to break, essentially. These little flaps control the flow of blood. If they're pushed inwards or inside out, they just don't work. With pumping, all you got to do is stay within our recommended working pressures. You're much more likely to have like lymphangiosclerosis than you are to have a venous leak. Like in my entire time coaching clients and even on getting bigger, I don't think I've actually seen someone with a venous leak injury. Hank might, but he specializes with these injuries, right? So, like, be diligent, be vigilant, but don't freak out too much about it because, like, it's not that common. Python, going on a family vacation, so I won't be able to do much pee over the next 10 days. Should I probably do 5 to 10 minutes of manuals in the shower? Probably won't be able to do more than that. I mean, you could do that, or you can just enjoy your vacation. If you just started, you might as well just start again at week 1 once you get back home from vacation. I like how white your teeth are. What's your routine? What are you using? Dude, I actually do not do that much for my teeth. Um, like I would consider my like dental hygiene relatively poor. I sometimes only brush my teeth once a day right before bed. That's it. If you ask me, this is a hot take. Okay, this is a very hot take. But brushing your teeth in the morning's kind of stupid because like you already brushed them at night, you didn't put anything in your mouth. So unless you have terrible morning breath, there is no real point to brush your teeth again in the morning if you brush them again at night. But that's gross, and you should probably brush your teeth twice a day. Anyway, all I do is I brush my teeth with right now my wife's Crest Scope toothpaste. But when I had braces, what I did is I used whitening strips. All right, so like when I was 13, I got my braces off, and then for the first 2 weeks or so, I just used whitening strips. I was being really dumb, but what I think that did is like stained the dentin in my teeth permanently white. So like I don't get yellowing of my teeth, even though I don't have the best dental care practices. Okay. Chill Bear, what's the ideal water pumping routine, time, and etc.? Well, the ideal depends on first your own body, second, how long you've been doing PE. With the bath mate, you can probably do 5 minute sets, up to 20 minutes without getting a gigantic, gross looking penis. Gross as in really bloated and disfigured. So yeah, 2 to 3 full pumps with the bath mate for 5 minute sets 2 to 4 times is going to be like as much as you can really do. Sorry, just wanted to check chat or, some analytics. It's been a bit of a slow day on the internet. And like, it's not that big of a deal to me. It's just, it's weird to see these flows as an online content creator. Like, I was expecting this one video to be as good as the rest of the Gainathon videos. So, like, I don't know. Should have like 1,500 views by now, but today it's probably barely cracked 1,000. I don't know. It's just because Florida's like a mess. No, we're not even at 600 yet, so it's a bit rough for this one video. But anyway, people will watch it. I'm not concerned. Okay. I mean, I notice my heart flaccid. The little bits that left goes away when I leave heat on it. Might have to do some, but to be okay. So what you're doing is you're loosening your dick with the heat. If you massaged it, you get the same kind of change. Because like what you're telling me is that the heat's either relaxing the muscles or that your tissue is tense. So if you massage your penis, you should get the same response. Corona, your best starting routine is going to be 3 sets, 5 minutes with the air pump, and then wait a week or two for like the actual stuff I'm going to produce for beginners. But yeah, 3 sets, 5 minutes. 4 to 7 inches of mercury. You just want to have a bit of an intense and erection inside of it. Just going erect. It's pretty, honestly, pumping's so simple. It comes down to manipulating the timing and pressures to fit your body more than anything else. Have you used topical aloe vera post PE? I mean, I've used it for like lubricant at some point. So, yes, it's any lotion. Most lotions do the exact same thing for anything else. It's just like the different levels of micronutrients in them. So, whatever you get your hands on, as long as it's not overly tacky, it's going to be good. And if you have bad breath in the morning, it's an indicative of some acid reflux for the most part. But like, let's say you eat a lot of sugar and then you leave it sit in your mouth, those bacterias are going to go ham and just give you really bad morning breath from that too. I never really had bad morning breath, but like, I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus here. She gets tonsil stones, and sometimes it's just terrible because of that. So like, there's more to it than just acid reflux. It could literally be from allergies too. But yeah. Can you make a list of the best girth routines? The only ones I see is just putting 3+ rings on. What do you mean? Um, I do have girth routines up on r/getting bigger. You just gotta type in like probably BD girth routine, and that'll be it. Interval pumping is the main thing I teach, and then it's just everything's a variation off of that. Okay, hey BD, I bought the Apex and Leela pump today. What should my routine look like? Jeez, I'm at 5x5. I also bought the gua sha scraper and some lotion. You don't need the gua sha scraper unless you like literally feel like nodules under your skin, and that's actually some kind of fibrosis or calcium buildup. Um, with the Apex, 10 sets, 1 minute, 2 sets, 5 minutes, like 2.5 to 5 pounds, and then pumping 3 sets, 5 minutes, you're done. 4 to 6 inches of mercury, 4 to 7 inches of mercury. Okay, so PRP. How did I go about getting your PRP treatment? Was it done at clinic or was it the process like it? So it's really easy to find your nearest P shot. Let's see if I can switch to Chrome real quick. Let's see. P shot near me. And since I'm in Pittsburgh, we obviously get the Devil UPMC right here. Let's see. But like, go through and then you'll literally find doctors in your area that do it. We could also go on the map, Steel City Medical Center, for example. HRT and TRT, main thing you want to go for is relatively high volume and less about rejuvenation and more about size, because they're going to try to pump as much PRP into you as possible. And it's really going to depend where you live on the price. Like, Pittsburgh's a relatively cheap city. And if you do it in LA, you're probably better off going to Tijuana to do it. But it's such a simple process. All they do is they draw like anywhere from 30 milliliters to 120 milliliters of blood. They spin it real fast in a centrifuge. They draw out the red blood cells. Normally, they'll spin it again to separate the PRP from the PPP, the platelet poor plasma, and then they inject the PRP into your dingus. And that's going to be 2 to 3 shots each side, and maybe 1 to 2 shots in your glands, depending on if you actually want your glands shot up. It's really simple. Sometimes they'll make you pump up right after the session to keep the PRP. And what that does is forces it to like kind of coat the tissue. And then if you constantly traumatize the tissues, the PRP, the stem cells from the PRP will then stick around and start healing. And I think that's part of the reason why I've had really good gains this year, is because I probably almost doubled my stem cell count at this point. So that's probably it. Another thing I just kind of realized, if you do PE like really dumb, so like let's say 20 minutes pumping at 10 to, or let's say 12 inches of mercury and beyond, you can potentially kill off those stem cells, and that will make it harder to gain long term. So I gotta let that idea cook a little bit more. Do you have a one-on-one mentorship for this? I don't. I used to. I'm getting a lot of fucking requests for it because I did not think the coaching thing through that much. So like the game-a-thon, I'm doing voice calls, and in return, they're sending me pictures that I can use to sell products. But that shit does not scale well. I had 30 clients at one point, and it became way too much to manage. And if I did, let's say, get an assistant coach or something, people would probably be pissed off that they were not working with me directly. I run 2 businesses and a YouTube channel. I really do not have time to be coaching anymore. Does Perv live in Florida? Perv lives in, I want to say South Carolina. It's one of the Carolinas. Pefon, I don't know what your routine is. 10 minutes of tunica release, 30 minutes of manuals, and 10 minutes of pumping. It's a bit intense. You probably can drop that manuals down to 20 minutes and the tunica release down to 5 minutes. Is there a simple way to prevent blisters from pumping? What pressure are you pumping at? Like, I've maybe seen 1 or 2 cases of people actually getting blisters from pumping, like on r/getting bigger, but like they were doing some crazy ass pressures. It's really going to be about how much time you're under the pressure more than anything else. But like, you're going to have to tell me what you're doing to get blisters. Nicholas, you recommend vibration pumping and extending into all routines. If I don't use vibrations, should I still use the 2-minute intervals till I'm at 10 minutes? Yes. I don't necessarily recommend using vibration for all routines. I don't really think beginners should be using it. Honestly, I don't even know how effective it is long term. Like, I've only been using it for 3 or 4 months at this point. But yeah, you should be still doing interval training. Honestly, in a perfect world, you'd be doing interval training with whatever focus you're doing plus vibration. So like you do intervals with length, but you know, it's a bit of a pain in the ass with the vibrator on. And then with pumping, definitely be doing intervals. Adam, I've been doing the manual pump girth routine from the Ultimate Beginner's Guide. Awesome. It's been 2 months. Holy shit. Okay. All right, guys. I just got the Apex. So I keep the intervals and feeder set or the piss pulls overkill. You should probably do the piss pulls. Keep the feeder set. And then I would actually just switch the intervals to static pumping if you're trying to work in the Apex, because like it sounds like you're going for length. Interval pumping is going to be more for girth. Traditional pumping is going to be more for that dilation and like shape training. Oh, you're trying to get best of both worlds. Trust me, dude, it makes a lot more sense to divide and conquer with this. What is the difference between your vacuum cups and sleeves versus Total Man? Are you trying to get a hit squat on me? I would say my sleeves are silicone, TPE silicone, I believe. So they're a lot stretchier. They're much easier to fold. Total Man's feels like a rubber, almost like a harder silicone rubber. Doesn't stretch as well. Easier to cut to shape, in my opinion. Main difference in bell, there's 2 things. One, Total Man has more sizes, but it's also a much longer bell. 2, the tops have a different type of valve. So when I suck out the air, or like mine's better for water than his is. And I'm not exactly sure why. I'm not the engineer. Like I literally drop shit this shit. But I know a lot of people like Total Man bells. I personally don't. But you know, they work for most people. PRP follow up. Is it best to get the P shot after you've been doing PE for a while or when starting out with PE? That is such a tough question because like It's for healing, right? But like the main benefit that I realized as a couple weeks ago is that um you develop a lot more stem cells with it, and stem cells are the main mediator for growth in the penis. If you take them earlier in your PE career, you'll get faster returns on PE time, essentially. So while I don't recommend people going to just get PE shot to get a bigger dick faster, it makes sense in a logical sense. Maybe not monetarily, maybe not like psychologically, but logically, you could probably see 10 to 20% faster gains with each session of P shots. But, a lot of the issues with P shot is that a lot of the gains initially are just inflammation. And they go away fast. And what they say happens is like that inflammation turns into new tissue. That's not always the case. So you can easily get your hopes up with P shot, like, oh wow, my girth went up half an inch. But as soon as these guys stop pumping, they lose it all. So like they got to be pumping literally for a year straight to hopefully gain that half an inch permanently, and they probably could have done that with PE anyway. It's just that if they keep doing PE, it'd been faster than baseline if they did P shot. What is my other business? My guy, I sell stuff at Leviathan Wellness. That's a completely separate business entity. And then Peak Mel Physique. And then I guess we have Leviathan Holdings as well, but that's just a shell company at this point. Um, I'm going to be getting probably into some investment stuff too, just because at a certain point, I'm going to need to find a way to get tax advantages. Not, hide money for taxes, but like, use the tax code in my favor so I'm not paying 30% income tax. And you Europeans are like, wow, that sounds great. Well, that's not how we do it in America. And it would also be different if my money was actually going to things that help my community and not just the industrial war complex, military complex. But anyway, there was a hurricane in South Carolina, Azula. I'm surprised my dog hasn't come by, but I I'd already talked to Perf. He wasn't that impacted. People around him were severely impacted, and it was more so North Carolina that got wrecked than he did. But it did impact some of his suppliers, so he's probably like a week or two behind on schedule now. Okay. So, besides the routine you mentioned, is there anything else I should include? Should I use any supplements, or am I doing too much? So, supplements are a nice to have, not a need to have. The main thing, like this is for injury prevention, or discoloration prevention particularly, is an L-citrulline based supplement. So like you can literally just take L-citrulline malate, 5 grams of citrulline, 2 grams of citrulline malate. So if you do it together, it's probably going to be about 7 grams total. Vigor is already formulated for that. You don't need to buy my product, but like Vigor has a lot of uses, and that's one of the main ones. When you take L-citrulline, your small blood vessels dilate, which makes it much easier for them to stretch when they're put under high pressure events like pumping. So you're much less likely to get discoloration when you take L-citrulline, for example. Some people get some crazy like erection quality benefits from it, but like if you already have good erection quality to begin with, you really won't see the difference. What I don't understand about these mics is that you're supposed to clip them onto your shirt, right? But they fall under. Maybe I have to have it backwards, but it's still trying to fall out of my hood. I do sell that through my products. You're looking for Vigor, and there's a lot more shit in it than just L-citrulline. But like, if you need a cheap version, literally just look up bulk L-citrulline. It tastes like shit. I'll be completely honest. It is very sour on its own, like L-citrulline malate. That is not Vigor, but that will do about 50 to 60% of what Vigor does. Okay, so Azula wants to start going to the gym but has not have any idea what to do when he's there. You got to find a routine. Then there are so many people in the fitness industry, it gets really complicated really fast. Jeff Nippard usually has really good stuff for beginners, but
he pisses me off. Just his general aura makes me angry. But he's a good place to start. But like if you want to do this simply and just consistently break up your days into certain muscle groups. So like you'll do back Monday with biceps, and then you'll do chest Wednesday with triceps, and then Friday you do legs. You just do all that shit on one day, get 2 or 3 exercises per muscle group, move on to the next day, find the same machines, do that and do that. Like if you go to like Planet Fitness, for example, all those machines are going to be relatively in the same area. So like all the back stuff's going to be by the back stuff, all the chest stuff's going to be by the chest stuff, and all the leg stuff's going to be like the leg stuff. That's going to be your easiest way to start and get consistent. And then while you learn from other people, you can experiment more with other things. But like people shit on disease. People shit on machines a bit, but like they're very useful for starting out because they teach your muscles how to contract properly. Okay, I take Cialis as they're still using taking L-citrulline. So it's 2 different pathways. So you can get more benefit by taking both, but since they combine together, some people that are sensitive to like blood pressure swings can develop low blood pressure, and that can be a little wonky for them. I take Cialis and Vigor all the time together, no issues, but I'm also a relatively large individual. Um, so like what you would do is like let's say you're on Cialis, you'd only take like half a scoop of L-citrulline or Vigor, and then see how you feel. And then the next day you could try a full scoop. And if you start feeling a little weird, you know that you can't really be mixing both. Okay, so creatine is a pretty fucking overrated, Crane. So all it does is cause your muscle tissues to swell a bit more of water, and like you'd be able to get 1 or 2 more reps in on your last set. It is probably one of the most overrated supplements that you could take. If you're gonna buy any supplement for muscle mass, whey protein. Like that is going to go far and beyond anything else a supplement will do for you because it literally is the building blocks for new muscle tissue. And if you're trying to get big, you need to eat a lot of protein. Like that's straight up one of the main rules. A lot of energy to produce the muscle and a lot of building blocks for the muscle. So I would say get to the gym, start taking 25 to 50 grams of protein extra a day on already what you're doing. Once you get in the hang of it, um, then you can start playing around with your diet. But like you got to get that protein at least above 150 grams a day, and then your carbs at least above 200. It really depends on like what your body weight is currently, though. I use whey protein already. Does isolated whey go a step beyond? So, what do I use? I usually go for protein isolate because it tastes a bit better. But right now I'm only rocking whey protein, it looks like. It's whey protein concentrate. I literally buy the stuff 10 pounds at a time because it's cheaper. But yeah, you don't need any special protein really. Casein's sometimes nice if you take it before bed since it's slower digesting. The higher purity the whey is, the less issues you'll have if you have milk allergies. Um, that's basically it though. Like anything beyond like whey protein isolate is going to be overkill. I disagree, BD. I think creatine is probably one of the only supplements worth buying. It is the most researched supplement outside of caffeine, but it's really like to me, if we're talking about like X's and O's here, your strategy should be on maximizing your diet first. And spending the extra $30 on creatine a month is going to go a lot farther if you spend that $30 on chicken breast a month. Like, I get it, it has uses. I actually don't like the feel of creatine on me. It makes me like excessively watery under the skin. there's a bit of bias here, but I genuinely think creatine's not that great. Or like it's very overrated. It's been one of the most over marketed types of supplements because they'll just come out with a different type of creatine. Like there's micronized creatine, there's like alpha creatine, whatever the brand name is. And it's a slight change in the structure, but like if you're just taking creatine monohydrate, you'll get like 90% of the exact same result. Okay. But pros and cons for BPC when used for injury recovery and healing. For PE, no real benefit. For injury recovery, fucking spooky shit, dude. Like when I was looking into it, basically in the same time period, these scientists dissected or vivisected, I guess, vivisected a tendon to cause like a partial tear to a rat's Achilles. After either it was 4 weeks or 6 weeks, there was double the collagen fibril count between the control group and the BPC 157 group. So, like, just in 6 weeks, it doubled how fast the tissue grew or repaired. It is an insane fucking peptide. I wish it was more studied because I really think it could, like, cut down surgery time in half. It could potentially fix ACL tears faster, but the real problem is that one is relatively new. I think it was only isolated in the 90s, and two, there's not really a huge market in, at least for insurance companies here in the United States, to get you healthy faster because that means they get less money in premiums. But that is a topic for some other day. Okay, anonymous. As a beginner, I want to get length from 6.5 to 7, or just 6 to 7.5. End goal, how long do you think it'll take? It'll take at least 18 months. I'm ordering a pump, and should I also get a total man stretcher ADS? So first of all, ADS are only really good for retention wear. They will not cause gains on their own. You'll need either a hanger, manual stretches, or an extender. Quality varies a lot on all of those. But 18 months at least to gain an inch and a half. More likely 2 years. So forsaken, I'm a man of science though, as a minds, which is why I lean towards creatine. I studied to become an exercise scientist. Only did 1 year though. So the thing is like these companies pay for these research studies half the time. And like they'll use it to say like our product did X, Y, and Z compared to our competitors with a shiny little paper that they pick and chose the data points from to get the exact messaging they wanted. You can't always believe research studies. You have to see who paid for them and if there's going to be any significant bias, because that's part of the scientific method. Okay, Daniel. Hey, BD, what is the minimum time you recommend to stick to routine if you aren't hitting your post-session expansion and stretch criteria? So the first thing you do is you either add more weight or more time. I would do that and like if it takes, you should be getting it within 2 to 3 weeks of adding new stuff. Honestly, it should be the second day once you start adding this stuff. So like it also depends on how much you're stretching. Like if you're at 3%, you add another set, you should be at like 3.5, 4%, right? It's just logical. If you're routinely not able to hit strain or fatigue as you add more weight or time, you probably want to take time off, give it a month, and then do like a physiotherapy recovery thing where you do a lot of massages instead because the tissue's just tense and you can't really work it. Another thing it could be is your pelvic floor. But in general, most people can stretch quite far, but a lot of times they use too much work and they cause a stress adaptation response, which part of that is contraction after a stressful event. Okay. So Arthur keeps getting blisters from his all-day stretches for less than 2 hours, but not when using a high tension extender. So Blisters are a bit of a weird thing. So what happens is the skin starts to pool up from the layers below it, and then fluid can come in and fill it. When we can do this a few ways. One, through friction. So like if you've ever gotten a blistered on your foot, that's a friction blister. And you can also get it just by like chance almost. And the longer you wear something, the higher the chance the skin's going to fall apart due to the pressure. And then that's what's going to cause what the big physics guys call de-alienation. So if you took the all-day stretcher off for about 2 to 5 minutes every hour, you should probably not get a blister because like the pressure has to reset and the fluid has to settle out before you go further. Okay, so Crane is between 5'8" and 5'9", 170. I go 6 times a week and do push pull legs. For what I'm pushing for, I can do 145 on bench, 6 to 8 reps with 5 sets, and legs I can deadlift 155, walking 10K steps. So what is your real goal here, Crane? Are you trying to lose weight or are you trying to gain weight? Because 170 at 5'8" is a bit on the heavy side. I wouldn't say overweight, but you know, you're getting close to it if you're not overly muscular. So no proof for Jesus is taking BPC. Do I think BPC will increase healing time in PE? So the issue with BPC 157 is that, or I guess penis enlargement in general, is that there is a low count of stem cells in the penis, right? So like we could nuke it with BPC 157, but like if there's only 20 builders, all 20 builders are activated, they're still only going to be able to do 20 units of work in that time. Meanwhile, like a tendon and ligaments, they're probably going to have, this is just really relative bullshit, but let's say 100 to 200 builders. So BPC will have a much faster effect to tissues with higher stem cell counts. So for penis enlargement, it doesn't really make sense just because you can only whip the workers so much to make them produce more tissues. Javaris, I'm starting to think you're a bit of a shitstar. I'm excited for the new Apex and ADS. Finally, an ADS work from at the time. So the ADS from Massive Novelties is actually going to be more so like an extender replacement. It still would work for retention, but like you should be able to do some much higher tensions than typical. Not that I would necessarily recommend it, but you know, unless they change design, I haven't talked to them about it in like 6 to 8 months at this point. So V, are y'all measuring strain before and after the bell, or before you take it off? Put on your bell after you take it off. You should be measuring it after you take off the belt because your glands are going to be super inflated potentially with the vacuum. So taking it off is going to make it much easier to get an accurate measurement. If you're doing it in device, it doesn't matter as much, but for fatigue, it does matter. Javaris, it's only because you keep bringing up the Apex, that's all. So, Crane, your goals contradict with your lifestyle right now. Uh, his goal is to look good and have a six pack. I'm worried that it'll take a long time for me to reach that since I'm main gaining, eating at maintenance. My diet consists of Chipotle, In and Out, which I never had, protein shakes, and also Panda Express. So don't take this the wrong way, but you need to learn how to cook. Every guy needs to learn how to cook if they're trying to like build a physique. Um, let's work out the Panda Express with something that's a healthier alternative first. And my real reference to you is pick a lane. If you're trying to get a six pack, put all your effort into getting a six pack. But it seems like you're such a novice, and don't take it the wrong way. You need to learn a lot more to get optimal before you really go hard for these goals. I don't even know what the alternative is. Okay, let's stay sequential. So, taser. I know this question has been asked and you've answered a million times, but could you go over it really quick? Is edema bad or do we want it? I have a large buildup below my head. So, you're always going to get a bit of edema. That's part of the deal with vacuum pressure. However, I'm going to make sure my dogs are okay first, but too much edema can do a couple things. It can limit healing. It can stretch the lymphatic system more than the blood holding tissues. And it can also interfere with erection quality because that swelling numbs the nerves. So if we let that get out of hand too often, we will see a dulling of the nerve sensitivity. We will see better pump sizes, but not better erection sizes. And we won't be really growing our dicks because of it. So, edema is going to be pressure and time dependent. In most of my PE career, before I've started studying the physiotherapy aspect of it, I was doing an hour to, I would say just about an hour of pumping at my highest point. I would probably get an inch bigger in girth, but the gains that I'm getting with girth now are much more vascular and much more consistent. Like my erections are consistently over 6.25 now. Beforehand, I would see fluctuations between like 5.75 and 6 because that was how big I was, but 6.25 constant now. But I'm doing 20 minutes to 30 minutes of pumping now, 30 minutes maximum compared to 60 minutes with a whole bunch of inflammation. So there's going to be like a point where how much your tissue can stretch before it's going to be just stretching the skin, essentially. King Arthur, thanks for all the time, energy, and knowledge you've given to the community. You're a true hero to many, including me. Well, thank you. I was just thinking about this today. YouTube is so much fucking nicer to me than Reddit is. Like, it is like a night and day difference. If I go on Reddit and say something, I'm immediately questioned. If I just come out here, it is usually, I get flowers all the time. So thank you. Oh, man. So, hold on. If you could choose and why, I don't know what the alternative is. 7 hours of Phalocin Forte extender, or 4 hours Phalocin Forte extender, one-time pump, 5 to 7 minutes with roughly 9 inches of mercury at higher pressures and 10 minutes of ring after. I would probably do option 2, mainly because I don't know what the alternative is. Forsaken for Crane, all you need is chicken, broccoli, and rice. That is the most old school thing that bodybuilders say. And Greg, I think we'll just call him Sir Greg, says, why do bodybuilders always pick chicken? As steak has better micronutrients, chicken is generally cheaper. I mean, I don't even know if it's that much more cost effective because like you can get sirloin steak relatively cheap for the same price, and like ground beef is literally just ground steak. It's just not the good parts or good cuts of steak. So like if you get 85 to 90% lean ground beef, it's going to cost just as much as a chicken breast, and you're going to get at least more flavor, in my opinion. That being said, I like chicken, I like steak, I really like shrimp, but there's so many ways to diet. Like the main thing you really want to do is figure out foods that taste good for you and fit your macros. Like I eat steak and eggs every morning. All right. I used to be a real big chicken guy, but like steak just tastes better to me. I don't think my cholesterol or anything's out of whack. But yeah, I would strongly recommend Forsaken that you get a little bit more creative with your dieting. And whoever else, Crane. He is like, honestly, one of the best skills to woo women is cooking. Like, my wife thinks I'm an exceptional cook, and that is like, I don't know. It's just one of those extra things to go above and beyond. It's super fucking easy to learn how to be a good cook. You just pay attention, and that's it. But anyway, okay, vibing Alex. Yesterday you mentioned something like the ADS is not as effective as a regular extender. Can you explain a bit more? I'm not sure if I should switch. So an all-day stretcher is only going to be able to produce as much tension on the leg as you can without impeding your ability to walk. If we're applying any meaningful tension in any meaningful time, it's going to impact your ability to walk. So, like 5 pounds pulling at your ankle between your knee and ankle is going to be a little annoying, to say the least. Now, also, all day stretchers, since they can't really produce that much pressure, don't really cause collagen fatigue. They're really good for shape changing, but like if we're going for long term results, shape changing is only going to get you maybe a half an inch and then teach your new tissues to take this new shape. With, let's say, hanging and extending proper, like high tension extending, you're going to get that collagen fatigue in a much shorter amount of time. Okay, so all Redditors are weirdo. It's kind of just shocking how weird they are. So the problem with Reddit is that everyone is entitled to their opinion. Okay, and it sounds really bad saying it like that. But like they are expecting that their opinions are going to give them the same value to everyone else. And like when someone doesn't necessarily agree with their opinion right away, they get really combative. And since I'm a debate lord at heart, I've gotten a lot of people that do not like me on there. And Reddit has always been a bit of a counterculture place. So like it is like the polar opposite of Instagram, right? So like there's going to be a lot of, let's just say, pseudo intellectuals that flock to Reddit, and then they get their feelings hurt when someone proves them wrong. And like it's just kind of like a mainstream Reddit syndrome with r slash getting bigger. Since it's gotten so big, you get a lot more weirdos in general, and weirdos are more likely to chat. But anyway, so let me see. I already have it up 5 decibels. Whoops. How do I change this? We go to settings. That's the button. All right, I'm going to turn this up another 3 decibels. Let me know if it sounds louder for you. Since this is a USB microphone, there's like a weird limit set by Windows to how high the decibels can get. But like I don't think I could get any higher. I can also play with the mode here. Okay, I turned it up a bit. I can't go any higher without clipping, so let me know if that's better for you. If not, you need either new ears or a new phone or a new speaker. Okay. So no, I'll just call him no proof. BD is correct. I'm an ex NPC bodybuilder. So that is like one step below the highest level of bodybuilding. He's 50 years, 205, six pack. That's impressive. And at 5'7", so like he is like 20 pounds lighter than me, but like 6 inches shorter. So like he is just a behemoth, like what in pictures specifically. But he's saying it's all diet. Like speaking from my experience, when I was in high school, I was like 160, and since I was burning so much energy playing basketball, and just I didn't know my dieting, I could not really break 170 that easily. But as soon as I got to college, I had access to like all you can eat food at the food court. I went from 170 to 196 in the first semester, and it was basically all muscle. Now, obviously, that changed with the stress beyond freshman year, but it really comes down to your access to mainly high quality protein and then balancing your carbs and fat accordingly. You're the goat BD. Those Vittoria heads on Reddit just hate themselves and want them to make at other people's problems. Well, I can't say that I'm 100% innocent in this either. Like I said, I look to prove people wrong. It's one of my toxic traits. You can like call it like a toxic winner. So like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, both toxic winners. It was not enough just to be right. It was that you had to have your opponent admit that they were wrong. So I will go at them constantly, and that is just a bad precedent to set. But in general, a lot of my issues started when I started selling products, and now it would seem like I'm only been doing this for the money. But like again, since I'm making money off of PE now, I can do a lot cooler projects. For example, I can do the Gainathon, which is a year's worth of my time, and I can produce helpful content that's going to help people the entire year, right? And eventually, like, we'll have the money to do actual penis enlargement studies. We can bring even better products to market. But like again, since I sell products, I am now one of the worst people in the community. But it's fine. And it's only a certain amount of people too. Like it's not everyone. Like I still get my flowers on Reddit, but like there's enough people that don't like me on Reddit that it makes it annoying to go on Reddit. Also, why do bodybuilders make boring meals just like plain rice and not make it curry? Do the spices really add that many calories? Like again, I just think it comes down to a lot of guys not knowing how to cook. Like if you know how to do your macros right, you can eat a lot of good food. Um, I don't say I particularly use a lot of spices. Like, hold on. Ugh.
Oh no, where is it?
I can't remember the name of the company, but I get this in Maui. It is hot lava uh seasoning. That's what they call it. So it's like corn, black salt. Did I say corn? Peppercorn, black salt, and like garlic and everything else. There's like barely any calories in it whatsoever. So like you can season the shit out of anything. It's when you start adding in sauces. But even then, like let's say barbecue sauce, that's mostly just the sugar. And like we're talking a tablespoon, that's going to be like 40 to 80 calories. So like just eat 40 to 80 calories less of rice to make up for it. It really becomes a problem when you get into like the cheesy sauces, so like Alfredo, ungodly amount of calories in Alfredo. Like a jar of just pre-made Alfredo is probably about 1,000 calories on its own. But yeah, it really just comes down to those guys not knowing how to cook. So you're a knowing, okay. Sorry, I'm going through the comments. I don't know, James, if you're following along with chats, but I finally got to yours. Red, do you want me to throw shit? I don't really want to throw shit anymore. Reddit's telling me to call out some people in the community about favoritism, and I'm like, I'm just beyond that at this point. I'm far more focused on being me and winning that way than trying to show other people up. Red, how would I? So he's like, say, I'm not saying calling them out. How am I supposed to not do that with this conversation? Okay. The main reason I'm eating those was to save me sometimes. My basal metabolic rate is 1400, so you'd be at a 2150 if I were to eat at this. So I'd stick with a year of clean eating. Would I reach my goals? Well, I think it's very easy to underestimate your calories, or is it? Or I guess it'd be underestimate when you're eating out constantly because they're not in it for your health, my guy. They are in it to make the food as tasty as possible so you come back. So they're going to put a whole bunch of sugar and a whole bunch of butter in it. Okay. So what you can do instead, if you're busy, is get something called a sous vide cooker. Let me pull that up. A sous vide cooker basically cooks your food like 90% of the way, and then you grill it real quick for 2 to 3 minutes, and you can make like a whole week's worth of food within 2 to 5 minutes because you just kind of throw it in the vat to cook. Let me show you what a sous vide cooker is. This is how I basically lived while I was still working. That's the wrong one. Give me 1 second, guys. This one. And like the thing with sous vide is like it's cooked perfect every time. The only way you can overcook it is you don't use the right setting. But like, let's see. So like all you do is you literally throw the food into a boiling pot of water and put it in a bag, and then over 2 to 4 hours it will cook to perfection. And then you take it out for texture and sear it real quick, and then you're good to go. It is so fucking easy. If you put like a marinade in with it, it cooks with the marinade and you get all the flavors with it. I'm telling you guys, it is so easy to eat right if if you just know a little bit about cooking. You'll soon find sous vide cookers on peakmalphysique.com. Okay, Armin, what do you say about 1 week of pumping with vibration and 1 week of stretching with vibration? And the Sorry, this is being an annoying little chat bubble. Okay, and the other method and vice versa. There's no reason you should be doing every other week. Like, I strongly recommend just dividing and conquering. Do 6 months of pumping with vibrations, get as girthy as you want, and then switch to stretching with vibrations for 6 months. And I can almost guarantee you'll have either the same results, if not better results, than if you did it both at the same time. Um, is it safe to wear a silicone sleeve heating pad for a long duration night during sleep and during the day to help retrain the collagen to force it to grow to be a shower? So first of all, anytime you manipulate collagen, there's going to be like a 2 hour period before it retracts back to normal. Secondly, you should never wear anything while you sleep, period. Because one, you're going to be getting nocturnal erections quite frequently, and that's going to be shape training on its own. So the only time it really matters to you is after PE for about 2 to 6 hours to teach that tissue to take that shape. And then it'll slowly take that shape over time. There's no real reason to try to do it 24/7. It's a really good way to cause lymphatic issues and potential nerve damage. Crane, I would love to enter the Gainathon when the next one is on. I don't know how often I'll be doing it. It'll definitely be a yearly thing. I don't know if I'll be getting a new batch every quarter though. Because like the hardest part is the first 3 months to dial it in, and then as long as they're consistent, they're gonna gain. Um, and that usually takes about 3 months, but we'll see. What is your preferred method of contact here, or tag or DM on Discord? It would depend on your requirement. If it's like a customer service thing, help at Peak Mal Physique. I I really don't like direct messages, but like I will see them on Discord. I ignore most of them on Reddit unless it's like a business need. Uh, but yeah, I don't want to be rude, but I get at least 20 different direct messages a week from random people. So unless it's like it's oddly specific and it's not something you could ask the group on the Peak Mal Physique Discord, then you can message me. Okay. Hello, Mr. Casper. Um, BD, I was about 232 at the age of 14. That's quite large. And I already had consumed more calories than someone 10 years older than me. Food means nothing to me anymore. I only eat for fuel. Well, I'm glad you figured that out, but I am a foodie. I love food. And it has become quite the problem of how much takeout I actually eat. But in general, most people do eat for taste still. So, like, you don't have to be forcing them to be eating chicken, broccoli, and rice, right? You gotta use a chamber vac to marinate the meats. It's the ultimate restaurant hack. Chamber vac. I'm pulling that up. If I can remember how to turn things on. Has Chrome been open this entire time? No. So you said chamber vacuum. That seems quite expensive, my friend, for my goals. But I'll look into it. How do I have to close this now? That button. There we go. Okay. So you guys probably got me for another 10 to 15 minutes, and then I gotta make dinner maybe. Okay. Is being on Reddit a must? Is following you and Hink on YouTube enough for being up to date on PE? I really don't like Reddit. I'm only on Reddit for PE. So I've basically moved all my content making to YouTube. So like if you watch my videos, you'll be up to date on everything I do. I only really use Reddit as a conduit to get more people to this content now. Um and it's no shade to Reddit. It's more like I enjoy YouTube more and there's a bit more product value with videos than say um text all the time, right? Text is a cop out to be honest because you don't really get to show your actual points. You just hope that people can read them, but communication face to face like this goes a lot longer for a lot further for understanding the concept. But anyway, all our stuff's going to be mainly on YouTube from here on out. Matus, the air fryer is also valid. Air fryers are great, and like if you still prefer like French fries and shit, like I do, you can use like 80% less of the oil. Like I'll take some uh grass-fed cow butter and then melt that in a microwave, like 1 tablespoon, and it'll coat chopped up potatoes with it and throw it in the air fryer for about 10 to 12 minutes. And like it's practically identical to fries, but it's not going to be saturated with like terrible canola oil all the way through. Um, so Anonymous doesn't know what to get, either the mail hanger or vacuum. So the mail hanger is good if you really don't want any kind of blisters. Vacuum hangers are good if you're trying to grow your glands and you're too lazy to take it off every 20 minutes. I prefer vacuum because I'm too lazy to take it off every 20 minutes. And then is beef really that more nutritious than chicken? For the most part. Like, let me pull up Chrome again. Which one is it? Red meat versus chicken. Nutrient facts. Oh, I'm just going to nutrition. Top comment says beef. There's no real explanation, but what it really comes down to is like the type of nutrients in the tissue. The good way to put it is since cows are mammals, their nutrient profile is going to be more close to our needs than a bird would be. That being said, you should probably be getting your protein from a lot of different sources. So like I literally eat both chicken and cow for breakfast, right? Eggs, steak. And then at least 2 to 3 times a week, I'm eating some kind of fish, either whether it be shrimp, tuna, salmon at dinner because I'm a sushi nut and I make a really mean salmon steak, but I guess it's a salmon fillet. But you get the point. The more different varieties of food you eat, the less likely you are to have a nutrient deficiency. Um, Mr. Casper, that's why I said to get the restaurant hack, the external whatever vac container to store and marinate, but most are shit. Long-term return on investment is great. It's make it makes eating tough lean meat more enjoyable. So like what exactly is tough lean meat? Like are we talking gamey meat like duck or are we talking like poorly cooked chicken breast? Because like to me, I can make a pretty good chicken breast, specifically if it's already been filled with chicken broth. Like I don't really buy the all natural chicken breast. I always get the cheap chicken breast that is filled with chicken broth because it's much juicier and then the flavor comes out a lot more. I'm also a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to that. So like it's chicken. That's not there's no like real different cuts of chicken. There's different parts of chicken, but like you can get a New York strip, you can get a sirloin, you can get a skirt, what are they, tomahawks. So like there's a lot of different parts to the cow than there are a chicken. Let's see how the stream's doing. Wow, 38 concurrents. Wow, we're still talking about chickens. All right. Uh, See, I think skirt steak's delicious no matter how you cook it. You just got to let it marinate for a bit. Like even in a bowl is good. And it's really hard to get skirt steaks up here in Pittsburgh. There's not enough Latinos. But anyway, is it a big deal to be in a calorie surplus when doing PE? No, you don't need to be in any real calorie like needs for PE. You can be in a pretty significant deficit while being or doing PE and still grow. Like for most of this year, I was in a pretty significant deficit, and I've grown pretty damn fast this year. Um, a surplus would just help keep erection quality high. I do not eat organs because they're not that easy to get, and I just don't really see the point. I'm not like I think the Liver King's probably one of the dumbest motherfuckers alive, but like he made a good business off of being a charlatan, so I respect the game, just not the person. Um, I'm gonna leave this up for like 2 minutes while I check my phone. But if there's nothing interesting, I'm gonna end it. So if you got something to say it. Just get an instant temp and you can cook any meat good except knowing the right technique. So I'm gonna push back on that a bit because I got a meter. It's like a smart temperature thermometer, and like it literally caught on fire while I was cooking a salmon. So I don't know how good they actually are. I mean, you might have like access to a restaurant grade one. I got a stupid minimal viable product for a Christmas gift, and it did not go well. So like I have much better success with a $10 to $15 barbecue thermometer than I ever did with a smart thermometer. All right, guys. So since we're still talking about the wrong kind of meat here, I think I'm gonna end it. Um, Tomorrow, 4 p.m., I'm gonna be live with Perv McSwerve. So that is 1 hour from the current time. I hope to see you then. And unless one other question came in about PE. Okay. Two choices. You become a top world renowned handsome runway model. I don't know who Francisco Lachowski is or Sean Opry with a micro D. You remain the same with a 12-inch D. Like, dude, I am pretty hot. Like, all things considered, my wife thinks I'm pretty. I have nice hair. I would take the 12-inch dick any day of the week. So, I will see you guys in the next one.